Today's strong storms led to a flash flood warning, and many of the typical trouble spots saw high water. With some of the pumps out of service at the Carrollton underpass, water rose quickly there. Most cars couldn't get through.
More street flooding in Jefferson Parish, as you can see here, with the downpour in Elmwood, and we received more reports on high water in Harahan. Good evening and thanks for joining us, everyone. I'm Sharice Gibson.
And I'm Katie Moore. Tonight we have team coverage of the flooding out there. Paul Murphy was there as the water rose and then started to recede over in Elmwood.
Alyssa Curtis has been checking out flood reports in New Orleans, but we start tonight with WWL Chief Meteorologist Chris Franklin with the latest forecast. And Chris, a recap of a very stormy afternoon.
Yeah, and the problem is that we're going to get these potentially heavy downpours in the next several days. It really is just dependent upon where they set up. Today's tended to set up over the river parishes and move right over JP and Metro New Orleans. Now, officially at Kenner, though, only picked up about 3/10 of an inch. Notice most of our official locations all under an inch of rain. However, in between some of these locations, we obviously saw a lot more. Now, updating radar, far clearer. We saw that rainfall thankfully come to an end even before about 3 o'clock. So it didn't last for very long, but long enough to drop about 3 to 5 inches of rainfall in some localized areas. Widening out our map here were a couple of our hot spots for the heavier rainfall. One was generally north of Slidell, kind of to the northwest of Pearl River, and saw an estimate of 4.5 to near 5 inches of rainfall. And over Metro New Orleans, the hot spot was right around here, kind of at the bend at 610, or excuse me, the bend of I-10 at 3.5 inches of rainfall. Now, estimates of around 3 inches of rain near the river bend, although official totals there from a few locations saw about 4 inches of rainfall, and that would put about 3 to 4 inches of rain even over Old Jefferson, where we saw the flooding in Elmwood. So that kind of aligns with what we did see. Again, that rain is now long gone, including the heavier storms, which really was not as much of a flooding issue north of the lake. It was more from the severe thunderstorms and some gusty winds causing the power outages there. Again, we could easily see a repeat in the coming days as our rain chances will stay on the higher side. I'll explain why that is in a few minutes.
All right, Chris, thank you so much. And we have some more of a new video now from the Palmetto Canal, and you can see it is full to the brim. This runs along Washington Avenue and drains the Carrollton neighborhood, connecting to the 17th Street Canal and Pump Station 6. According to the Sewage and Water Board, one pump is out of service at Pump Station 6 right now.
Carrollton underpass is a typical trouble spot whenever we start seeing street flooding.
However, out of the 3 pumps there, 2 are out of service right now, and today we saw the water rise very quickly. It has now subsided, but Alyssa Curtis watched drivers brave those high waters out there. She joins us now live with an update.
Yeah, that's right, Sharice, Katie. This was honestly a mess over here at the Carrollton underpass. Thankfully, right now, the traffic is flowing and the street has since opened back up. You can probably see behind me all the flooding has since drained, which is great news. But about an hour ago, it was a completely different story. Up until about 4 p.m., the underpass was flooded. We know this is a trouble area whenever we start to see some heavy rain. And when we got over here, that was just obviously the case. And on top of it being a usual suspect for flooding, according to the Sewage and Water Board website, the Carrollton underpass only had 1 pump working out of 3. So 2 of those pumps here at the underpass station were out. According to the website, a temporary pump was deployed and the water reached to about a foot. That's according to the measurement marker here at the bridge. Thankfully, it kind of stayed and hovered around that 1 foot marker. It didn't get much higher than that. Many drivers were risking it and driving through the floodwaters, which we know can be very dangerous. You can get stuck, your car can stall out. It's not a great idea. And while some cars just drove and just splashed through the area, other drivers kind of took a beat and said, I don't know about that. Maybe I'll stop, turn around. And thankfully no cars got stuck over here today, but we have seen it in the past. So if that does happen, if you ever do come across the Carrollton underpass, please don't drive through it. Again, the underpass is now clear. Once again, the flooding has drained and the street is back open. So just be careful when you're out there driving. Reporting live at the Carrollton underpass, Alyssa Curtis, WWL Louisiana.
Alyssa, we always say turn around, don't drown. Thank you so much for that update. Some of the usual low-lying areas in Jefferson Parish also took on water during this afternoon's downpour.
Yeah, and that includes Clearview Parkway in Elmwood. Paul Murphy was there when that street was flooding, and he's joining us now live with an update on the conditions there. Paul?
Katie, Charisse, the street flooding here on Clearview came up to about where I'm standing. You can see the water line here on the ground, but it didn't take long for the water to start receding once those drainage pumps kicked in. We're told that this part of Jefferson Parish in the Elmwood-Harahan area received about 4 inches of rain in a short period of time during the afternoon deluge. Clearview Parkway in front of the Elmwood Shopping Center is one of those areas with chronic flooding problems in Jefferson Parish. Traffic here was at a standstill for a while around 2:30 this afternoon, but eventually the pumps did catch up with the rainfall and then the roadway started to drain. Vehicles slowly made their way through the high water, but some drivers got a little impatient and created a wake as they drove around vehicles caught in the flooding. There was also some high water in the Elmwood parking lot for a time in front of some of the stores. Not enough to get into businesses though, but the water has since drained there as well. Earlier we spoke with...
I've been stuck out here for an hour waiting for it to go down. I can't even make it to work. I've been supposed to go to work at 2. Bad, like everywhere we turned, it was flooded. We couldn't even get through nowhere. Bad, bad.
All they got to do is just stay still and be patient until the water go down. That's all. That's about it. I'm waiting too.
And again, the traffic is flowing smoothly again here on Clearview Parkway in both directions. The street is still wet, but the flooding is gone. We're live in Elmwood. Paul Murphy, WWL Louisiana.
All right, thank you so much, Paul. Entergy's blaming lightning strikes for some of the outages today. Right now, the outage map shows about 2,100 outages in St. Tammany, 1,600 in Tangipahoa, and as well as 900 people without power in Jefferson. Outages in New Orleans are at around 700 customers right now. Entergy says crews are working quickly and as safely as possible.
And just before the storms arrived today, New Orleans unveiled a new partnership to install sensors that can detect flooding. The new stormwater sensors will be used to send out alerts and real-time information on areas with high water. So look for the full story coming up tonight at 10.